meeting. I'd like to call the meeting the Government Operations Committee for Monday, December 6, 2021. Roll call, please.
Bala?
Here.
Payleitner?
Here.
Spongard?
Here.
Bancroft?
Here.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Here.
Warball?
Here.
Besner?
Here.
Weber?
Here.
Thank you. Administrative, video gaming, statistics, and fuel tax. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. Item number 4, omnibus vote. We have one item tonight. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So move.
Moved by Warball, seconded by Besner. Roll call, please.
Warball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bala?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Spongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 5, information system. Recommendation to approve an agreement with Gartner Consulting to provide information technology research and consulting services for $43,300. Good evening.
Hi. Thank you, Chairman. As we have in the past 3 years, we've been working with Gartner Consulting for doing our technology consulting research services. They provide exceptional value to the city over the past 3 years, and we expect them to provide the exceptional value and cost savings for our upcoming initiatives as well. So that will answer any questions.
Any questions or comments on this? Okay. A motion and a second, please. Moved by Weber, seconded by Bancroft. Roll call, please.
Warball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bala?
Yes.
Payleitner?
Yes.
Spongard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrilla?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item number 6, Fire Department. Recommendation to approve an ordinance extending the residential sprinkler moratorium. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Come before you again for an extension to the moratorium on sprinklers for 1- and 2-family dwellings. Something we've done every 2 years. The code requires it. The city has chosen not to enforce that part of the code. We are working to adopt the 2021 code, and we'll come forward at that time with a recommendation with the adoption of that code. But that looks like it's going to take place more around May. So what we're proposing is to extend the moratorium for another year or whenever the 2021 code is adopted.
Any questions? Yes, Alderman.
So the 2021 code will not have the recommendation for residential 1- and 2-family units?
The code will have requirement for 1- and 2-family. At that time, we decide whether we continue with the moratorium or we follow the
and that's
code.
been in place for quite a few years now, correct?
I believe since the 2012 code.
Okay. It seems to make sense. We have the fire department and all of the things, but what's the rationale for this moratorium? I mean, it seems like there's quite a bit of support not to have it in the code.
It was more at the directive of the elected officials. I know a lot of the contractors and builders don't care for it and feel it adds unnecessary cost. We have sprinklers and everything but the 1- and 2-family, and the city's felt comfortable moving forward with that moratorium in place. So when we adopt the codes, if there's any direction that the council would like to provide in that direction, we would incorporate that. And you guys would have the ability to change anything that's brought before you as a recommendation when the codes are adopted.
Yes, Alderman.
Okay. Just a question to clarify: does this apply to apartment buildings?
No, just 1- and 2-family homes.
Okay.
So like a single-family home or a duplex.
Okay. Thank you.
Chief, is there any cities in Illinois that actively do this right now?
That have sprinkler for everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are probably, I don't know the exact number, but I would say in the number of approximately 50.
Okay. Any within our area that you're aware of?
Schaumburg would probably be the closest that I believe has it, but there could be some closer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Motion and a second.
Real quick, if I could just make a comment. There are a handful of communities that do have them. The ones that have enacted such restrictions have gotten major pushback from builders associations, from realtors associations, because of the cost impact on the construction. And conversely, they were finding that 1- and 2-bedroom home or 1- and 2-family homes were not the highest risk for fire hazards. So that's been a lot of the pushback on maintaining that in the code.
Thank you.
Motion stands.
Moved by Lencioni, seconded by Weber.
Weber, second.
Roll call, please.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bava,
Yes.
Payleitner,
Yes.
Bongard,
Yes.
Bancroft,
Yes.
Lencioni,
Yes.
Petrola.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item number 7, recommendation to approve a resolution authorizing the City of St. Charles to participate in the National Multi-State Opioid Settlement and authorizing execution of related settlement agreements.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you for considering this item this evening. As everybody is probably aware, this opioid issue has been ongoing for better part of a decade probably now, and maybe longer than that. So what has gone on now is the Attorney General is going into a lawsuit to represent all of the municipalities in the state of Illinois rather than requiring each of the individual municipalities to enter into their own litigation. They would endure the costs and then distribute those costs out proportionally to all the municipalities to engage in any issues or control over those pandemics. So the chief has spoken with me this afternoon. We are currently working on a pilot program regarding Narcan. I'm going to let him speak a little bit about that in a second. But we are recommending that we enter into this litigation. This is an opt-in lawsuit, so if we do not opt into it, we would not be able to receive any of the funds that are recovered, and some of the municipalities that are currently engaged in their own litigation on this are actively deciding to go into that Attorney General lawsuit rather than continue with their own. So most of the money is going to be distributed out, and we can use that for any issues that we may encounter in the community. So with that, I'll turn it over to the chief just to give you a quick rundown on the program that we're currently entering into with the county.
Thank you, Heather. So we've had a Narcan program for about 7 years in St. Charles. So it started with an EpiPen, and the fire chief can talk a little bit more if you have any questions. But an EpiPen was administered by first responders, typically police. Sometimes our arrival times are a little quicker. We're out in the field. Now we do a nasal spray that actually gets injected into the nostrils. We've had a number of success stories with that. We are piloting with the health department here in the next couple months. We're going to have a leave behind program. So residents that want to get trained in how to administer Narcan can get a kit left behind by us, so long as they go through a training program from the health department. And of course, the fire department has done Narcan, which is really a beta blocker for my entire team of law enforcement. So if you have any questions, either I can answer it or Chief Swanson.
Any questions or comments on this program? Okay.
So with that, you do have some additional information in your packet, but again, as I stated, these are not opt-out settlements, they are opt-in settlements, and the more municipalities that participate, more likely the funds will be a greater pool of resources for us. So at a staff level, we are recommending that. I have spoken with Attorney Peppers. He is recommending that as well. The reason for the quick turnaround on this is the state said they sent out letters to all of the municipalities in September. Nobody that I have spoken with received any of those letters. We then received an email about a week and a half ago saying we had until January 2nd to get everything approved and opt-in. So that's the reason it's before you today, but we are happy to answer any questions that you may have on this.
Question, yes?
So in general, us participating in this law, the rationale for us participating is that I'm not a lawyer, of course. I support it, of course, but we've been harmed, or we're spending money on a pandemic that was perpetrated by this.
That's exactly it. I mean, any of the advent, I think, of Narcan is probably the direct reason or the direct response to this pandemic, or epidemic. So it is important that we recover and use those resources to continue to treat and respond to any issues that we have.
Great.
Thank you. Any other questions? Can I have a motion in a second, please?
I'll move for approval.
Moved by Petrola.
Second.
By Roll call, please.
Wirball,
Yes.
Besner,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Bava,
Yes.
Payleitner,
Yes.
Bongard,
Yes.
Bancroft,
Yes.
Lencioni,
Yes.
Petrola.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 8, recommendation to approve a resolution to approve a construction contract for Foundry Business Park improvements. Good evening.
Good evening. This is a bit of a carryover conversation from a conversation that Colleen and the Finance Department started in the beginning of November. And at that time, she had asked for the termination of the Foundry business TIF that was coming due at the end of this year. I think December 31st was the exact date. And at that particular time, a little bit earlier, the Public Works Department was asked to go and evaluate that area to see if there were any projects that we should undertake to utilize the dollars that were available as part of that TIF, in which we did. We did find that that most of the roads in that area could use a resurface, and that is what we are proposing tonight as part of this. So the dollars would be basically from that TIF fund. At this point in the year, it's tough to go out and seek street contracts and bids for this type of work. So what we did is we worked with our vendor, Geneva Construction, who did all of our street work this past year, and they have agreed to hold their prices and do this work in the spring. So we felt like that was a good way to propose this work. So unless there's any questions, we certainly recommend the work and the proposal in your packet.
Questions or comments? Motion and second, please.
Move for approval.
Moved by Besner, second by
Weber.
Roll call, please.
Wirball?
Yes.
Besner?
Yes.
Weber?
Yes.
Bava?
Yes.
Reichner?
Yes.
Bonnegaard?
Yes.
Bancroft?
Yes.
Lencioni?
Yes.
Petrullo?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Any additional items from the council? Smith.
Yeah, I just have a quick question for Heather or the chief. You know, in our recently, you had advised us that presentation about the parking deck was coming. Do you have any? I know it was a few days ago, but any updates in terms of timing of that presentation?
I think a major component of that is we wanted to see if we got that grant funding in for those cameras before we then decided how to recommend additional expenditure and control of that parking garage. So I think we're just waiting on that component first. So we anticipate it will be at least into January.
Okay.
But I know the chief is monitoring the situation in the interim to make sure that they are staying on top of any complaints or any just overall surveillance of it.
That sounds great. I just was curious, saying weeks or months, so that's great. Thank you.
So you're thinking January the grant will be approved?
Do you have any timeline, chief?
Well, they did, the trust in the ordinance is a 60-day window, so we have to answer in the next 30 to 45 days. We submitted everyone the appropriate submissions, so I should know something hopefully within that time frame. But I had discussions with Heather. We're going to look at different options, whether it's private security, additional cameras, some different mechanisms to slow folks down in the aisleways. We're going to have a full presentation that we'll offer to the council.
So we can expect a presentation like in January, somewhere on there?
Softly, depending on when we get that grant, because certainly we would like to put those additional cameras in, and if we
Sure.
have some grant money available for that, then that allows us to divert some of the additional funds for different measures.
Okay, great, thank you.
And thank you again for all of your help and work. So.
Thank you, Heather. Okay, any other questions or comments from the council, audience, staff? Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Weber will
By, who moved it?
Me.
Michelle?
Weber will second.
Second by Weber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion passes.
Army.
Well, Ryan, as your conversation, let me know what I can do.